Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Math Monday. I'm definitely a little delayed today, but I am going to get started here in a couple of seconds. I'm going to gather my notes and going to just jump on. So maybe a few people will join me tonight. I know that I'm definitely later than I usually am. I am scheduled to be on around 8 or 8:15. I had a meeting that lasted so much longer than I expected, but it was a wonderful meeting, very productive. And so I'm glad to be able to be with you tonight. So I did not want to not get on. When you start a project, you have to be committed. You can't decide to stop just because it's not convenient. So I'm on and I'm committed to be a part of this experience with you tonight. And so this is Math Monday, and the focus is around reading and writing in mathematics. And you'll see my eyes shifting a little bit because I'm on Instagram and Facebook tonight. And sometimes I've done that in the past, and so I wanted to do that once again. So I'm going to just get started here and talking about this idea about reading and writing in math. And, many times we think about mathematics, we think about the numbers that are connected, and we've talked about that in the past. But math is so much more than just numbers. And one of the things that comes across really powerfully with mathematics is communication in math. And so there are varieties of ways for students to communicate their understanding in the arena of mathematics. And so when we start to marry the two of reading and writing and mathematics and put those pieces together, I wanted to just kind of start with our understanding of literacy. And so the notion of literacy is it involves three major components: reading, being able to read and decode and make sense of the language that's written on the paper in front of us. There's writing, this ability to be able to write and to be able to express your thoughts in writing. And of course, the other one is speaking. And so those three together are what make up literacy. Good evening. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you can join me tonight. Just got started, and so just jumping right on, talking about reading and writing in the math classroom. So I just have a couple of ideas that I want to share around that, and it's important to kind of think about students for a moment. And so I know I have some parents on, and I'm glad that you could join me tonight. But I want to just throw this question out there to you. When you think about this idea around writing your thoughts and your comments and responses in math, what do you think something that students say? If a teacher says, write down your answer, explain your thinking in the math classroom, how might students respond to that? I'll give you a second to think. Feel free to chime in. Well, I'm going to jump in here. You can add your thoughts as I kind of throw some thoughts to you. As soon as you ask a student to write down their thinking in math, they say to you, for what? I don't need to do all of that. How do you know? How'd you get that answer? I just thought about it in my head. I just know the answer because I figured it out in my mind. I don't need to go through the whole explanation. Or they may even say, I don't know how, right? I don't know how to do that. That's absolutely correct. And so this ability to combine reading and writing in the math classroom is really important, and it's something that I often work with teachers to do, but we also want them to be able to encourage their students to do it. It's really important to have them write down their thoughts. And so I'm going to share a few ideas of what teachers can do, what parents can do at home to encourage their students to just, if they're not just writing about the math, they're at least talking about it. Because remember, literacy is a three-part thing: reading, writing, and speaking. So being able to communicate your thoughts is very, very important. So one of the things that communication for mathematics that it emphasizes is it's really what we call a process standard. And it's a way that students are understanding math content. And the ability to be able to articulate your thoughts coherently, whether it is reading something and being able to explain what you've read, or writing your thoughts down, or speaking it, is very, very important. And so the communication standard is something that we are always emphasizing with students to use effectively. And so the power of reading and writing in math is that it gives students an opportunity to organize their thinking in a very coherent manner. It gives them an opportunity to communicate not only their thinking, but to hear someone else's thinking and to put those pieces together. So if you as my peer in the classroom, if you're understanding something and you have you've expressed your thoughts, I should be able to explain or reiterate what you said. And if I'm having a challenge with that, then either the other person has not delivered it clearly, or maybe I didn't understand it clearly. Either way, both people benefit from that coherent expression of their thinking in math. Um, the purpose of that is it helps students to really analyze and to really um, reorganize their thinking. So if they were wrong, or if they had some challenge about something, if they weren't doing a clear job of explaining their thinking, once they try to do it coherently and they're struggling with that, if they hear themselves say it, or if they read what they've written down and it doesn't make sense, seeing that artifact helps them to go back and reorganize their thinking. So that's a very valuable experience for them. So one of the things that I will say about writing in the math classroom is that it should be frequent. It should be something that students are doing every single day. And so I'm just going to grab a little notebook here. And this is just a notebook that I just use. It's a little ripped here, but nonetheless, a notebook such as this, whether it's a spiral notebook, a composition notebook, a binder of sort, it doesn't matter. This is just an example that when students are using notebooks in their classrooms by way of math journals, it's an excellent way for them to organize their thoughts and to be able to express themselves in response to whatever that problem is on paper. And so many teachers are using math journals. They use them very consistently in their classroom, and they should. It should be something that's sort of a systematic thing that's a part of the way instruction flows. There are also topic, like math journal topics, where what did I do in math today may be a topic, or what did I learn? What's something I do not understand may be a journal topic. There's a lot of different prompts, and I actually have a document that lists 101 math topics or journal topics. And so I'm going to actually pin that to the page on Facebook, and I'll find a way to pin it on Instagram so that you can have that as a resource, because it's really an excellent resource to have. It's a public document. It's not anything that I made up. It's something that can be accessible from the web, but I use it often and share with some teachers that I work with. The other thing about the writing is that it should be consistent. So the first one was frequent. The next one should be consistent. And so it should be often, and it should be consistently done. So sometimes every morning students should be writing. If that's what they're going to be doing, have them write every morning, or even your own child. If they're writing, do it every single day at around the same time, or at whatever schedule you set up, but it should be something that's done very consistently. And it should be varied. So sometimes it may be in the notebook, sometimes it may be in sort of on a large chart paper of some sort where students are organizing their thinking that way. That's fine, but it's always connected to speaking. So once something is written down in a coherent manner, it should be something that's communicated verbally. This gives the student an opportunity to practice. It gives them an opportunity to rehearse what they've said, and if there's any misunderstandings or mistakes or misconceptions, they have an opportunity to correct it. So those are some things that are important. So just a quick review: that writing in a classroom should be frequent, it should be consistent, it should be varied, and it should be connected to speaking. That's extremely, extremely important. So I mentioned math journals as one of the ways to make your thinking public in math, and also using those math journal prompts. Those are also important. And then, there's some like organizers, like sometimes students will have a problem. So if you're a parent and you're listening in and you have your student express their understanding of the problem, they have the actual numeric response to that problem, there should be some writing connected to it. And sometimes the wonderful thing that they can use if they don't even have a notebook, or you're not using some other kind of document, are Post-its. I love Post-its. I'm a Post-it girl. I love it. I have to use Post-its for everything. Post-its are great because you can stick it right on that section. It can be just an empty space for students to use to record their thinking. And it can also be interchanged with other thoughts that may come along afterwards. So writing ideas out, being able to explain their thinking in writing is really important. Talking about what they're thinking maybe is critical as well. One last thing that I want to say about reading and writing in the math classroom, and I'm going to come on next time with some other resources around this, are books. There are a lot of books that are connected to important math topics that your elementary, middle school, even high school student can read, that or connects to some important math concepts. And so I think that it's important to use those resources. I think it's important, especially for the teachers that are viewing, to use those in your classroom. You should have a library that's devoted to math concepts. And what's the nice thing about these resources, though, these library books, is that they do actually have full storylines. They're not just about a math idea, but it may be a character who's having a variety of experiences that has mathematical importance. And so that's really a good thing to use as well in classrooms and in homes and things like that. So those are just a few ideas that I wanted to point out to you tonight. And I hope that you are taking some of these ideas with you. And if you have questions, please feel free to drop those questions or comments in the comments section. I would love to be able to hear from you. If you have your thoughts around reading and writing, what are some of the things that you've seen with your students? I know that these days, students are really expected to write more than they've ever have before in math classrooms. So I really want to take a moment just to open it up. If you have a comment that you'd like to make about that, sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, but go ahead and drop your comment in, and I will hopefully see what you have to share and respond to you, whatever you put there, because I would like to be able to do that. And as you're thinking about maybe your thought, I'll just continue to say this, that, there's some other ways to do some writing in math. I talked about the writing prompts. I talked about the math journals. There's also like reflection and assessments. And so sometimes at the end of units, at the end of a big set of ideas, having students go back and discuss what they've learned over that unit may be a way that teachers are assessing your child. And so if you're a parent listening and you're wondering about what are these new ways in which teachers are trying to figure out what my kid knows, that may be why you're seeing some variance. That's something that teachers are very encouraged to do. If you're a teacher listening, I want to continue to encourage you to listen out and to pay attention for those varied assessments. We don't want to use the same paper pencil all the time. There's also math essays, and I'll kind of wrap up on this point here. One of the things that I did when I was teaching college courses, and I actually was teaching what's called a math methods course, and that's a course that actually teaches pre-service teachers how to teach math, and that's what it's called, math methods. And so I had them think about their math experiences, and these teachers would reflect on their elementary and middle school and high school math experiences, and they wrote a whole essay around their math journey. And it was very powerful. I used it at various points in time in my career. And I will tell you that one of the things that was resounding in all of those was a powerful teacher that either turned the student on to math or turned them completely off from math. And so teachers have a powerful role that they can play in how their student really deals with mathematics. Okay, I have a comment here. My ninth grader has a lot of packets of lessons, not much note taking. Okay, so you're just seeing a lot of like computation. As one of the viewers on Instagram is talking about her ninth grader, and so he's doing a lot of this sort of computational things. Is that what you're seeing? Not as much writing, not as much note taking. Sometimes I think that is a problem, and so of course if you're trying to help them out and there's no notes, there's nothing to go back to, and that's a problem. Yes, you're saying yes, not a lot of notes. That's a problem. And I would encourage you to talk to the teachers about that and say, listen, how can I even support my child at home if I'm not always sure what he's doing? So be sure to encourage your child's teacher to give you a response on that. It's not enough that they just give you these packets. And sometimes the kids don't even know what they're doing. It can be so overwhelming for them if they don't even have notes to go back to. So I just want to encourage you to go to the child's teacher. And especially when they're in high school, sometimes it gets a little bit sticky. They feel like they don't think that the kids don't need all of that. But I know that there's something about a parent's voice that cannot be silenced. So I just want to encourage you to keep pushing and asking for where are the notes, where are the ways that I can support my child and make sure that he is getting what he needs to get out of his experience. So I just want to encourage you with that. So there's just so many varieties of things that can be done. And, this idea around writing and math is huge. And I'll tell you that for the state assessments, there's usually a lot more writing than there ever been in the last maybe 15 years or so. That wasn't always the case many years prior to that. But there's a lot more accountability, especially for younger students that are in like the 4th to 6th grade range. They're definitely having to give a written response to their answers that they're providing on their assessments. Okay, good. You already did that at his last parent teacher conference. Good. I'm glad. stay very proactive with that. That's important that we do that, because we want to make sure that teachers are aware, that parents are involved. Sometimes this is misnomer that parents don't want to know what's going on with their high schools, especially when they're in high school. But staying present is going to make a difference in the educational experience of your child. So I just wanted to encourage you with that. Keep doing that. Keep up the good work with that. So just wanted to hopefully drop these thoughts in your lap. Hope that you are thinking about how to integrate writing, or thinking about the notion of writing and math. And I think I'm going to, in the next couple of months or so, maybe over the summer, come up with some creative ideas to engage your students around math, so that they don't lose their momentum over the summer, because the summer so much gets lost over that time. So I just wanted to let you know that some additional resources will be coming your way. Thank you for joining me tonight. I know there was a few of us on, and others will probably watch the playback. But I'm always glad to be on. I just want to be consistent with this. Just like math and reading and writing and math must be consistent, Math Monday has to be consistent. So I am at least committing to 2 Mondays a month. Sometimes it'll be 3, but definitely want to stay committed to this, because I enjoy it. I enjoy sharing what I know with you, and I enjoy hearing your feedback. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for being on. I appreciate your support. So I'm just going to sign off tonight. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Thank you. I'm glad you found it informative. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you could be here. Have a wonderful evening. Have a great week, and I'll see you all soon. Okay. Good night, everybody. Bye.